American Sports Cavalcade. A panorama of speed, color, drama, and excitement. The American Sports Cavalcade.
250cc motocross bikes with some of the great names in the business. Glover, George Holland, Jeff Ward, Ricky Johnson, and the man in the passion pink leathers there, the French champion, Jacques Vimont. Steve spoke with him earlier.
How does American motocross racing compare to what you do in France?
I think the American riders is more aggressive. That's very good, you know. And we come here for learn because for sure now it's more better and the Europeans people, riders.
Do the American riders tease you about your pink leathers?
Yes, you like. Did you like the pink one?
Oh, I think they're nice.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck to you, Jack.
Thank you.
Well, I got to work on my parlez-vous, that's for sure. Well, while I was failing to communicate with Jacques Vimont, Brock Yates was at the other end of the gate to see how Kawasaki superstar Jeff Ward feels about the start of this first moto. He's even built himself his own launch pad.
As we watch Jeff Ward get ready for the start, Jeff, pretty critical to get this all set up here right for you, right?
Yeah, just confidence-wise. So there's no grooves. They're going to throw you sideways and just a straight line out.
Is it kind of a little ritual you go through before every start just to kind of get your head right?
Yeah, we all do. Because, you know, sometimes in front of the gate there's a big rut, and in the gate it's not straight, so we make it straight.
This is a pretty good place to start, right?
I hope so.
How about you've run before here, obviously, but I mean today, what's the racetrack look like right now?
It's pretty smooth for Carlsbad. It's usually a little rougher. It's kind of fast, but not too bad. The sun's kind of going behind some clouds, so it's going to stay a little tacky, hopefully.
You like it a little heavier, or would you rather see it slick?
I like it tackier than I don't like slick that much, especially here at Carlsbad.
Is that a pretty much the way it is for most of the top riders, or are some guys like a real slick track?
They like the track in good condition, but I can ride it in bad condition, but really well too. It's just funner when it's nice out there.
Okay, well, I hope it's fun for you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, they say that no one works harder on his physical conditioning than that man from Mission Viejo, California, Jeff Ward. And anytime you're up against a field like this, world-class motocross riders, a little prayer couldn't hurt.
All you need then, after you got the bike, is one of the finest athletes in the world to ride on it.
I'll tell you, Brock, with all that suspension travel, the bikes are getting so tall, you got to be an athlete just to get on one. Now, the gate falls towards the rider. If you over-anticipate, you can just impale your front wheel on that gate. All right, it is a good start. Everybody away clean.
They sure are, and it is George Holland sliding down underneath to take that lead. This is a traffic jam of epic proportions through turn number one.
George Holland, a factory rider for Suzuki. He's got the lead, but right on his tail, that is Jeff Ward.
What a flight. You know, these guys look like they're just never going to land when they come off that first jump, but you haven't seen anything yet. They've just begun the first of 12 laps here at Carlsbad on this nearly 1 mile twisting circuit.
George Holland and Jeff Ward. That's the story. Ward passes him in midair off the jump. Look at Ward turn that bike with his body, not even touching the ground. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable is right, Steve. You just can't believe he got by him. He passed him in the air, as you say, and kind of turned the bike in the process. All right, Ward moves out to a long lead on Holland.
And just behind Holland now comes the rider they call the Golden Boy, Brock Glover. He is the second winningest rider in American motocross history.
Big man for a motocross rider compared to Holland. Holland's small and compact, so is Ward. But Brock Glover, a big guy.
Well, it certainly isn't bothering his style. Right around George Holland he goes. In fact, in motocross, the height is not as big a disadvantage as it would be in speedway or flat track. You look at Glover at 6 feet. Ricky Johnson, we talked about earlier, he's 6'1".
All right, there they go. Look at that. Glover kind of bobbled a little bit there. Didn't slow up too badly, but he really almost brought the bike to a halt there as they head down to complete the first lap. There is Glover about to sail over Devil's Drop on his red and white Yamaha under the spectator bridge to complete lap number one.
So it's Jeff Ward and Brock Glover taking the early command. Two riders who have won innumerable titles in this country, have represented the U.S. in the Trophies Day Nations, the Motocross Day Nations, have won in many countries of the world.
And there is a scramble for fourth place. That's Billy Frank on bike Bike number 26, Scott Manning. Russ Wageman, he's the man you saw saying a little prayer before the start. He's sitting up among the leaders, and right behind them, one of the best in the business, Ricky Johnson, who didn't really get a very good start, Steve, and is now trying to work his way through the field.
No, he did not, Brock, but some of the riders call him the king of Carlsbad. Look for Ricky Johnson to move up.
Okay, there is your race for fourth. Billy Frank, bike number 26, Scott Manning 51, Russ Wageman, and they are really going at it.
You just saw the yellow Suzuki of George Holland go through. He's in the third spot, followed by Billy Frank right there. Then Scott Manning, number 51, making that right-hander. Then Russ Wageman and Ricky Johnson. Now, Johnson just recently joined the Honda team, Brock. May still be adapting to that motorcycle. He rode for another factory previous to that. So let's see what happens here.
All right, the man in the red is Wageman, but right behind him in red and white coming by on the inside, that is Ricky Johnson. Down low, and he is going to take both Wageman and Manning.
But now it is Russ Wageman, number 6, trying to get by Scott Manning.
Yeah, he did. He moved by Manning. Manning kind of bobbled there just for a second to let both Johnson and Wageman through. But look at Johnson. He is saying sayonara, and he's taken off after Billy Frank in the 4th spot. This is a man to watch right now, that number 5 bike. The man you said earlier, Steve, they called the King of Carlsbad, grew up in the shadow of this racetrack, really down in El Cajon, down just a little south of San Diego, Steve.
In fact, he and Brock Glover, both natives of San Diego County, so you know they spent a lot of time on this particular circuit.
You better believe it. They can run it blindfolded, I'll bet. All right, right now, it's the race for 7th, and our man Scott Manning has continued to fall back a little bit. I think he's got some problems, because right now he's being challenged by Johnny Nelson and Gordon Ward, and it looks, Steve, as if he signaled to his crewman that I got some problems with this bike.
Well, if he does, it won't take Johnny Nelson, number 3J, long to find out, because he's putting all the pressure on Manning he possibly can. Gordon Ward, number 59, behind him.
Well, Scott Manning tries to hold off Johnny Nelson. Nelson, of course, on the yellow Suzuki. Scott Manning riding the red and white distinctive colors of the Yamaha team.
And bear in mind, Brock, as they travel the 7/8 mile circuit, they're shifting gears hundreds of times in a 12-lap race. Look at this race now for 3rd spot. George Holland in the yellow. He's on a Suzuki. Billy Frank right behind him, number 26, and ever moving, Ricky Johnson.
Oh, boy, look at this. Johnson just riding all over the back of both those riders. You've got to believe that Johnson is looking for a hole, and the first of his victims may be Billy Frank.
I think Johnson is just waiting for a safe, sane place to pass, and this is not it. Of course, very narrow in this section. As they get out and it opens up, let's watch Johnson.
Well, Billy Frank, though, right now is challenging Holland. Billy Frank has moved up steadily on George Holland and is challenging, and look at that. Coming into your picture, the red and white livery of Ricky Johnson. Boy, they sail over that jump, and right now, George Holland has his hands full with both these guys. Look at this. Ricky Johnson trying the inside of Billy Frank.
Power's right by him, Brock. And you got to wonder now if George Holland isn't the next in jeopardy. When you figure that Ricky Johnson has come all the way from 7th, he is by George Holland. He is by Masterfully. Incredible ride.
A beautiful ride. Just a lap ago, he was way back in 7th spot. He's moved up now and probably has his sights on Brock Glover for 2nd.
Brock Glover is going to try to pass. They are wheel to wheel, but no. Jeff Ward looks over and says, not this time, big boy. Ward stays in front on the Kawasaki. Jeff Ward, who last year, Brock, won the 250cc National Outdoor Championship and the Stadium Championship. Ward and Glover, this is what the fans paid to see.
And they are getting their money's worth. Ward, of course, on the green Kawasaki. Brock Glover on the red and white Yamaha. Glover, like Ricky Johnson from El Cajon, right in the San Diego area.
Contrasting riding styles here between Ward and Brock Glover. Ward, a very compact built guy, and he can do things in midair that maybe the long, tall Glover can't. But Glover is just so smooth and precise. Going for a tearaway there so he can see. They call Glover the Golden Boy, originally because of his tan California good looks. Now I think it's because of his bank account.
Well, at 26 years old, Brock Glover is one of the older riders, and of course, as you said earlier, one of the richer ones. But the interesting part about his career is that he's a champion on the 500cc bikes as well, which is probably where his size really pays off for him. Earlier, Steve had a chance to talk to this interesting young man.
Brooke, what kind of physical training do you do off the motor?
It's
know, I do have a gym in my house. I work with weights. I down to a season usually about once a week, though. Maybe, you know, preseason a couple times a week, because in motorcycles you don't want to get too strong and big, because what happens is your endurance goes away, and then actually you begin to get a little more awkward on the bike. It's hard to flow real smooth with the bike. So, you know, in that situation, like I said, you spend a lot of time on your motorcycle. Summertime, I pick up swimming a little bit, something new. You know, it's not so mind-boggling to always do the same kind of training. I try to be innovative and think of something new to keep my mind fresh. I've been racing 10 years, and it's something to me. It's important to have a good mental outlook on the thing.
Barring any kind of major injury, how long do you think a career can last in this sport?
It's really hard to say. I've signed a 3-year contract with Yamaha right now. It's the beginning of the 3-year for this year, so I have 3 more years of solid racing for him. And after that, if I feel like racing anymore, I will. And if I don't, hopefully I'll be able to retire and be secure enough I can do that.
So talk of retirement by one of the relative senior citizens in this sport, if you can be a senior citizen at age 26. But right now, all Brock Glover is thinking about is running down the man right in front of him, and that is Jeff Ward, Steve Evans.
And Glover is not the only one, Brock, who has taken to cycling. Jeff Ward is so intense a cycler now that he just won his first race from the international border not far south of here to Ensenada in Mexico. He was first place.
Well, it's hard to believe that anything that's powered by a motor can be so difficult and so grueling to ride, but you're seeing it right here. These guys absolutely have no rest. And back to the misadventures of poor Scott Manning. He has now fallen back into a battle for 10th with Jim Tarantino and Robert Laughlin. As we said earlier, I think that bike of his is just offering a lot of problems for him, Steve. He just doesn't have as much power as he did.
No, he doesn't. And there's Tarantino, number 47, taking over that 10th position from Manning.
So Scott Manning continues to have his woes here at Carlsbad, and look at that, almost dropped it there, got it sideways in that little soft spot in that corner. So there is Manning falling back to 11th, Jim Tarantino up in the 10th spot.
And when the bike's not running right, it can be even harder to ride, because you press your abilities trying to make up for that loss of horsepower.
Yep, you can see Manning is really slowed up substantially as Tarantino now drives away from him, and I'm sure he is about to be challenged even further as he fights to hold on to his position. There are the leaders.
That is Jeff Ward, and he's got some traffic in front of him going wide to avoid any possible contact. And here also comes number 4, Brock Glover. He'll have to contend with those same lapped riders.
And there he goes through right by Tim Winslow, Steve, who moved over and waved Glover past. A really sportsmanlike gesture, because some of these slower riders can really hold up some of the quick guys.
Well, Winslow's got to wish he could stay closer to Brock Glover, maybe get a riding lesson.
Yeah, well, he's on his way to learning. You can be sure of that, and he's sure starting out right by treating the faster traffic that way. All right, that is your leader right there. Jeff Ward still being followed by Brock Glover. Ward has pulled out a little bit, and I don't think it was the fault of that slower traffic. There goes Glover upshifting. See a little wheel stand there as he heads right over the Devil's Drop. Oh, there he comes. That's what they come to watch, those flights through the air by these men and their flying machines.
I think the most impressive riding performance I've ever seen was a few years ago when Brock Glover won both days of the stadium event at the LA Coliseum. I mean, they said it couldn't be done, and it has not been done since.
He is surely brilliant, but right now, Jeff Ward has really got him covered. Ward is just running away from Brock Glover right now, and you can see how hard Glover is riding and doing a beautiful job. Notice, Steve, that the bike stays pretty much upright. It doesn't slide. He's not putting a lot of opposite lock on the wheel. It's just a very clean, straight-ahead motion. And there goes Jeff Ward out in front. Maybe Glover's gathered up a couple of feet on him.
It looks like Ward muscles his bike around a little more than Glover does, using that tremendous upper body strength that he's got. And how about this? This is the battle for 4th, but it's Billy Frank now in 4th with George Holland chasing him instead of the other way around.
Yeah, George falling back a spot, exchanged that position with Billy Frank, who, remember, has been battling hard all the way through. He's had his share of adventures today, but right now he's got kind of a clean shot. George Holland's fallen back a little bit and doesn't seem to be able to challenge quite as much as he was. But notice that Billy Frank rides that high road way around there, and George Holland took it low, trying to nip underneath him as they accelerate up through the gears and down the Carlsbad Freeway, the fastest part of this track.
And the track also, Brock, is starting to dry out a little bit. Maybe doesn't have the grip it had earlier, and and you got to do things a bit differently. The riders ought to be constantly watching that as well.
Well, George Holland once again tries Billy Frank underneath and doesn't make it stick as that terrific battle continues for the 4th spot. Remember now, Ricky Johnson is kind of driven away from this pair, and he's riding alone in 3rd, while Glover and Ward fight it out for number 1.
Now this year in the Stadium Supercross, as people are familiar with, the rules require production motorcycles. Not so in these outdoor CMC races. It's run what you run for the factory engineers. This is still their laboratory to build better production bikes. So you got some trick machines out there, including those of Billy Frank and George Holland.
All right, the 9th lap coming up. Only 3 more remaining. Up on the pegs, your leader, Jeff Ward, about to jump the Devil's Drop, holding on against Brock Glover, and right behind him, Ricky Johnson. 3 of the greatest motocross riders in the history of the sport going at it here, Steve.
Well, when Ricky Johnson started racing, this man, Brock Glover, was his hero. Now it's Johnson just behind him trying to cut the pins out from under Glover.
And look at this. That's Ricky Johnson rough riding that motorcycle around in pursuit of Brock Glover. He is just going sideways. We talked about Glover being so smooth, Steve. Look at Johnson. Looks like he's on a Brahma bull.
Kind of total abandon. You know, and to consider he was as far back as 7th spot and is now breathing right down the neck of Brock Glover. Not an easy thing to do.
It sure isn't. You're not just going against some patsy. You're going against one of the best riders ever. Look at this. Johnson on the 5 bike. Brock Glover on the 4 bike, heading up toward the top of the hill here. Right now, Jeff Ward still got a little bit of a lead. Look at this. Johnson on the outside, trying to pass a hard way. Will he make it stick? He got the inside line going down the freeway, Steve.
As soon as he had enough width on the racetrack, he just blew right by Glover. And I guarantee you that will irritate the Golden Boy. They may be from the same part of the country, but they are just arch rivals.
Well, right now, Ricky Johnson has said goodbye to Brock Glover. He said, so long, I'm going after another guy. That's in my name, Jeff Ward, right there on the right side of your screen, who still holds the lead, but not by much.
Boy, this has got to thrill Roger DeCoster, the many-time world champion who coordinates and manages the Honda Motocross team. He said, I picked the right young boy this time.
Oh, boy, did he just. There he comes over the Devil's Drop, completing yet another lap here. Not a whole lot left. Last lap, Steve.
Ricky Johnson was the youngest pro ever licensed by CMC at 13 years of age. His first big race was second in, of all places, Tahiti. And that was a few years back, but look at him now.
Oh, boy. Well, right now, it's Jeff Ward who's got to feel the pressure. His crew has probably told him he's got a serious player right behind him, and Ricky Johnson moves up on him. Oh, look at this, and traffic coming up. Let's see what happens with that slower traffic in the way.
Ward is behind the traffic, can't get by. Johnson sneaks up on the inside. Ricky Johnson leads this first 250 moto. What a job this young boy has done.
Incredible. Moving away now from Ward. Moving away from Glover. Driving out towards victory. Look at that. Maybe a 50-yard lead right now on the man who's dominated this race, Jeff Ward. And a young man many people say is the best in the business, Steve. So Ricky Johnson, though, on his home track is showing the way home in the most convincing of fashions.
Now, Ricky Johnson himself has traffic in front of him. Let's see how he handles it.
Up on the berm there, the high groove, kind of rim riding as in a sprint car, down the hill, past slower traffic, putting slower traffic between him and Jeff Ward. More insurance, really.
And those lap riders, they look over their shoulder. They know who number 5 is, and they're getting out of the way. A lot of sportsmanship out here. They don't want to ruin a good race either.
Look at that, using his foot a lot more than Ward is using. Just flying that bike down toward the checkered flag. We've got a win in sight for Ricky Johnson.
And Ricky Johnson styled that bike in midair for the photographers over that last jump. But only half the battle is won for Ricky Johnson. They'll all go to the pits, refuel, the mechanics will tune them up, maybe put on some new tires. Now here was the pass that made it happen for Ricky Johnson. Jeff Ward was in the wrong place, Brock, behind the rider about to be lapped.
That is Brett Redmond there on the bike in front. You can see Johnson on the inside, and there is Jeff Ward trying to take the outside line, and it doesn't pay off for him. There goes Ricky Johnson by to take the lead. He never gave up.
And at this point, Jeff Ward saying to himself, well, I just can't let Glover by 2, and he didn't. A very complex scoring system used used here today. First place receives 41 points. Of course, that's Ricky Johnson. 38 points will go to Jeff Ward, 36 points to Brock Glover, and so on down the line. Now, the same scoring will be used in the second moto. However, if there's a tie, it's your position, your finish in the second.
Drive about 8 miles due west of the Carlsbad Raceway, and this is what you'll see, the Pacific Ocean. Next stop, maybe 3,000 miles to Hawaii. Not a whole lot left aside from some beautiful blue water, some great fishing, and some great surfing. Beautiful, beautiful seacoast. But right now, it's back up to the racetrack where we see Billy Frank from up in Orange County getting ready to go. He currently rides in the 5th spot in the overall point standings. He's a support rider from Yamaha.
And currently 4th in those standings is Suzuki's George Holland, who may be better known to motocross fans for his many successes on the smaller 125cc bikes.
3rd in the standings at the present time is El Cajon's Brock Glover, the superstar on the Yamaha team, who we saw ride into the 3rd spot in the first moto.
And second in points is Jeff Ward for Kawasaki, a young man who's never done anything for a living but ride motorcycles. The press used to call him the Flying Freckle, but he's finally, I think, shed that kind of ridiculous nickname.
Sitting in the number 1 spot, the crosstown rival from El Cajon, Ricky Johnson, who you saw make that fantastic charge to win on the final lap from Jeff Ward. So this group and a whole bunch more are set for the start of Moto 2 at Carlsbad.
Everybody's staring at their own individual gate, and they are away. The final Moto 250 pros, some of the best riders in the world, and it is Ricky Johnson that's going to lead it through that first left-hand turn, and that's bad news for the rest of the pack, Brock.
It sure is. Johnson took a while to get to the front on the last moto, but right now he's saying bye-bye. I'm going to get out here in front and stay there. Right behind him, though, is Scott Manning.
And there's some riders who we didn't hear much from in the first moto that got a good start. Behind Manning is Scott Tyler, number 53. Mark Banks in 4th, 6X, and Brock Glover is in the 5th spot. It's he who now has to play catch-up.
In the meantime, we've got Ward, George Holland, Billy Frank, and the rest of them kind of stuck back in the field, and they're going to have to work their way to the front. And that ain't easy with a whole bunch of good riders out here like this.
Now, a guy with the abilities of Ricky Johnson on his home turf, oh, man, he's going to be tough to catch.
Well, right now, he's moved out to a good long lead on Scott Manning, almost riding alone in the picture. Here comes Manning and the rest of the guys, but you can be sure that the one man in that kind of front group that has a chance to reel him in is Brock Glover.
And we don't even see Jeff Ward up among the front runners. It was he who told you, Brock, that this track is getting slippery and much harder to ride as it dries out.
Well, Steve, as we expected, Glover is beginning to make his move on Mark Banks. Mark Banks, the Englishman from Suffolk, England. He rides for Team Honda of England, but right now he's got his hands full with Glover.
Wageman is down. Wageman tried to muscle his way past Brock Glover, and he lost that one. Wageman a little shaken up, but he appears to be okay. Going to sit down and take a big, deep breath and think about that one for a while.
Oh, boy, that's like falling down in front of a freight train. The first thing he did, no matter how much he hurt, was to get out of the way of everybody else. It looks like he's going to be all right. But here comes Glover.
No question about it. Glover is on the move now, challenging Mark Banks for the 3rd spot.
Mark Banks comes over here like a lot of the Europeans to kind of do a refresher course because they don't get any better than the guys that ride here at Carlsbad. So right now, Glover pushes his way by. But I'll tell you what, Steve, Banks is giving him a good fight.
Oh, you can bet he is. There's a lot of competition between especially the English and the American riders. And the quality of the American riders is so evident here. You've got the French national champion, the Japanese national champion, and they're not even factors.
That's right. You talked to the French national champion earlier, and he admitted it. He said they're really good here. And you can see it right now as Brock Glover tries to break free of Banks and hopefully catch up on his rival, Ricky Johnson.
Let's take another look at what caused Russ Wageman to go down. You can see here he got awful close to Glover. Glover was not about to give an inch, and Glover is just the stronger of the two. Wageman finally just goes right over the handlebars. That's about as hard as you can get off a motorcycle.
Well, I think he just tried to run as hard as Glover was going through that corner, and you just don't do that unless you've got extraordinary talents, not to take anything away from Wageman at this particular time. Here are a couple of Yamaha riders fighting it out for 2nd spot. Glover behind Scott Manning, and it's going to be Glover right there getting by. So he has moved into the 2nd spot. Scott Manning simply can't stay up with him.
But can Brock Glover make make up the tremendous difference between himself and the leader, Ricky Johnson. Scott Manning has now fallen back to third. Billy Frank, a game young kid, in fourth. And Jeff Ward clear back in fifth.
Right, that is Billy Frank and Jeff Ward fighting it out for the fourth spot. Remember now, Jeff Ward led the first moto for a long time. Had a kind of a bad start, though, and the second moto has been trying to work his way through the field. Jeff Ward, probably one of the quickest riders in the history of this sport, Steve.
And that says a lot for Billy Frank to be able to hold him off as well as he is doing. Billy Frank has had a very fine outing today against the best competition that you could possibly muster. And look at this. He puts a few bike lengths on Jeff Ward. Remember, Ward said he went to a new front tire because the track was drying out, felt that you couldn't take the chances in the final moto that he did in the first one. And now he's pulling up on Billy Frank, waiting for an opportunity to pass. And here it may come. No! Ward could not get around him on the inside. Now going to try him on the outside and still couldn't get enough momentum even with the burn shot. Now it is Ward in front of Billy Frank, or is it? Oh, and they collide. They are both down and down hard. Some spectators get jostled around, but doesn't appear to be anybody down there. Billy Frank took the worst of this. He's in pain, Brock.
He took a hard shot in his left leg. He's holding his left knee. Jeff Ward gets back on his bike and gets back underway, but not Billy Frank. He is down and he's hurting. A tough shot Billy Frank took, and apparently it was that left leg that took the brunt of the collision. Let's take another look at it now. Both trying to get into the same spot on the racetrack. There they come together. Down they go. Notice Billy Frank's left leg hooked underneath him as he went down, and that is where the damage was obviously done. See him? He is going to grab that left leg, and that's a tough break. What a good ride he was having up to that point.
Well, he was just so aggressive, and he lost it and ran right into Ward. But the benefactor, the Frenchman in the pink leathers, Jackie Vimont, he is now up to fourth and trying to pass Scott Manning for the third spot.
Notice that Vimont is carrying 70 on the back of his leather, Steve, but 7P is his number in the race. 70 is his number in France, and he's carrying this number over here in the United States. But right now, he doesn't care what number he's got on his back or on his bike. His eyes are concentrating on Scott Manning immediately ahead of him. And right now, Manning is holding him off.
Well, Vimont, though, is proving why he has been several times the French national champion. And typical Frenchman, he likes to style it over the jumps, even though he's trying to pass for third spot.
Well, he's going to try to dive underneath him into turn one. Can't make it work. And now Manning takes that big, long jump, and he'll go up, hook a hard right, and come parallel right back to the other jump and make another one right here. There's a point on the racetrack where everybody's flying in opposite direction. Pit signals are out. The crews are crowding more and more out on the racetrack. They're like bullfighters out there with a pit board.
That's right. The yellow flag is out in that turn, of course, for Billy Frank, who is still down there. But the Frenchman is a delight to watch. He's a photographer's dream.
Especially with those pink leathers on.
Now you can see George Holland, number 65 on the Suzuki in the yellow riding suit, closing up on Jackie Vimont.
Notice how George kind of hunches down over the handlebars. He's got kind of that bulldog driving style. The other guys kind of stand up on the bars. George is kind of hunched down over him, and he's a small, compact man anyway. He has not been running quite as well as we expected him to run in this race. You know, I thought maybe he'd be right there with a leader.
Well, he's usually very, very competitive on 125s, as we said before, but certainly not a bad performance today. Here comes Jackie Vimont moving up on Manning.
No, don't get me wrong. Anybody can even stay right side up on one of these things is doing a great job, much less ride them the way these guys do.
Oh, yeah, and you figure there's over 7,000 riders in the CMC and only a couple of hundred pros and a half a dozen capable of winning a race like this. This is the elite.
Okay, there goes Vimont trying the inside on Scott Manning. Still can't make it work. Dirt tracking through that corner. Down over the big doubles drop jump. And Manning holds on. Holland right and back there, waiting for a little slip on the part of either Manning or Vimont. Holland tries the inside. Almost caught the rear wheel of Vimont. Vimont by him, Steve.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you, this is a terrific three-way duel. Vimont, Manning, Holland, what a show.
In the meantime, of course, way out front, Ricky Johnson and Brock Glover, but Vimont, Manning, and Holland can taste that third spot money right now, and they're riding as hard as they can to get it.
Well, vive la France. This boy is really cooking.
He is indeed. Pulled out now to a point where, look at this, Holland trying Manning on the inside off that jump, can't make it stick, but here he comes again. Scott Manning now is being challenged very hard by George Holland.
Well, you described Holland earlier as a bulldog, and that's the kind of performance he's putting on now. Just gritty, tenacious. He knows in his own mind he's going to get Manning, and it's sometimes that mental outlook that'll get it done for you.
Well, Manning certainly isn't given up by any means. Right now, though, they've got that big jump, and George Holland carried his bike a little bit farther, far enough really to take over the number 4 spot from Scott Manning. What a race! Rick Johnson continues to lead it here in dominating style at the Golden State Nationals. Right now, he's gathering up a slower rider, but I'll tell you what, a formidable man indeed. That is Atsushi Okabe, the current national champion of Japan. And I'll tell you what, Ricky just blew right by him.
Oh, indeed he did. The Japanese, in fact, there's a pair of them over here hoping to run a number of races this year. A little stiffer competition might turn them into better riders. At least that's what the factories hope. Ricky Johnson, just a superbly turned out athlete. An excellent surfer, a snow skier, a water skier. He can do it all. For that matter, so can this man, Brock Glover, currently running in the 2nd spot. Who would have thought in such a short time, considering that motocross only started in this country in 1968, that guys like Brock Glover would become such highly paid superstars, travel internationally. They're of the caliber in this two-wheel sport as Formula One drivers would be in automobile racing. Well, Billy Frank has been taken back to his truck in the pit area, and Brock Yates is over there to see how he's doing.
Steve, I'm with Billy Frank, who was involved in that little deal with Jeff Ward, and looked pretty bad at the start, but it looks like maybe he walked away with just a wrench knee, huh?
Yeah, at the start, some guy crashed right in front of me, and I had to slow down, and I came out about last, but I passed a lot of people going around the outside, and seemed to work good.
Yeah, you were running real good. And were you trying to get by Jeff, or how was that? How did it actually set up?
Well, he was right behind me for about 3 laps, and then he passed me going around this turn, and I thought I'd get him back on this double, and I passed him, but I landed in a hole, and my hand came off the bar, and I just slid over and hit him.
So he kept going, but you were the loser, huh?
Yeah, I think I smashed my knee. I hope I didn't twist it, though, because it'll take a long time if I twist it.
Yeah, that hurts. Well, I'm real sorry that you're out. You're running real strong.
Thank you.
Good to see a nice young kid is not seriously hurt, Brock. I'll tell you, we got a good race going on for 8th place. Scott Tyler, whose number is 53, his jersey may say 903, but trust me, he's number 53. He has fallen from 3rd to 8th, and Jeff Hicks is right on him, and so is Michael Larson. They want to push him back even further if they can. And they've only got about a lap and a half to do that, to get that job done. And Jeff Hicks, who has been steadily moving up, is now trying to overtake a rider who has steadily been moving back. So that could work out very well for him. In fact, here comes Hicks, number 21. On the Suzuki, tries him on the outside. No, it is not going to work. That is Scott Tyler. It may say 903 on the jersey, but he's really 53. Now it works. Jeff Hicks, number 21, has taken over the 8th spot, and that moves Tyler back tonight, and Mikkel Larson, number 54, in that 10th position still. Well, Ricky Johnson may be a runaway leader, but we certainly have not had any problem finding a good race going on here. And Hicks suddenly gets off the course. He has stalled the motor, gets it restarted. So Jeff Hicks really bobbled badly there. That puts Scott Tyler, number 53, back into 8th and moves Mikkel Larson up tonight.
Well, that was really a tough break for Hicks. He had pretty well covered it, but look at this. There is your man heading toward victory, or at least a presumed victory. Ricky Johnson riding just as hard on this, what probably is its last lap. Yes, it is the last lap, as he was really out of the starting gate, Steve.
I think you're right, Brock. Until this lap, it looked like in that turn that Johnson just wasn't using that throttle grip as hard. And who could blame him? I'm sure the people he works for, the people from Honda, are saying, just win the race. You can win it by 10 feet or 100 yards. Just win it.
Well, right behind him, of course, is his arch rival, Brock Glover, his neighbor, as it were, from Costa Mesa. So you can be sure that one bobble is going to cost him the victory. So right now, yeah, I think you're right. Rick Johnson is running considerably slower right now. And if he had a rear-view mirror on that thing, he could see that well behind him is Brock Glover.
You know, you see these riders go, oh, look at how easy. He's just stroking it now.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you see these riders, and there it is. He wins it with double V's for victory. What a ride for Ricky Johnson. Now a little wheelie, celebrating a well-deserved win here today. In fact, back-to-back motos. You can't do it any better. He's still out there playing and having some fun. Glover picks up the second. He deserved every inch of that.
So two guys from right here, locals as it were, dominate this race from start to finish. But it was the man Ricky Johnson, who did it all, winning them both. The first one, the first moto, the hard way. The second one, about as easy as you could hope for. Literally a flag-to-flag victory in the second moto. So he takes that 41-point victory to carry on the overall win. 82 points. Glover second, Jeff Ward third. Despite the fall, George Holland fourth, and Jackie Vimont for France fifth.
Those that accept the challenge are these men and machines. They are ready to run at Carlsbad. Hello, I'm Paul Page, and we're here for the Dodge Truck Golden State Nationals. The 125cc machines are ready to go to begin their dance through the air. Not only these bikes will we see today, but also the ATV-4s. Steve Evans has that story.
Paul, these four-wheel machines are a wonderful blend of motorcycle and race car technology. Up front, you've got independent front suspension, much like a race car, but under the rider's seat, you've got a 250cc liquid-cooled motorcycle engine. At the back, a full floating axle, much like a motorcycle, with a disc brake. And the man on board kind of half rides and half drives. And unlike the motorcycles, you'll see a lot of sliding in the ATV-4s. Now, when we saw these machines last year, the class was the exclusive property of Suzuki. They were the only ones who made this kind of half bike, half car. But today, they will face competition from Honda and Kawasaki. It should be exciting. Right now, let's go back to Paul for the start of the 125 Pros.
36 bikes and riders up on the line. The final signals being given. They're ready to move to the gate, ready to start. There's Kyle Lewis, number 22. He was first overall as an intermediate rider last year. This is his first pro start, the 125. Not a great start for Lewis as the gate drops. And out in front is Raider Manna as they make that first left-hand turn.
Raider Manna on the number 6 factory Kawasaki machine. He is followed very closely by Mike Healy on an Italian-built Cajiva. You're right, Kyle Lewis got a terrible start up that gate, but he is a first-year pro, and here up against some of the best factory 125 riders on this planet. They're all here for Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Cajiva, you name it, and you'll find it here under the CMC sanctioned at Carlsbad, one of the most physically demanding motocross courses you'll find anywhere. And motocross in America really started right here by CMC over 20 years ago.
The leaders string out single file now. Some of the riders further back still have to battle 4 and 5 abreast to get through the corners, up through the jumps. Tremendous performance as they work their way around this terrain course at Carlsbad.
And another rider to look for. He's only 15 years of age, but we saw him with a brilliant effort a year ago. That is number 911, Sean Kalos, who is a support rider for Yamaha.
And Kalos currently riding in third place and contesting with first and second.
You know, Paul, a lot of people think the 125s are the most exciting breed to watch, more so than the bigger 250s or 500s, because they're so light, well under 200 pounds, so maneuverable, and they've got tremendous power for their size. Well, look at them fly.
The lead now established. There is Raider Manna, the green number 6, right behind him. 66, Mike Healy. And just behind those two is Sean Kalis, number 911. All three contesting for the lead. Raider Manna has it right now.
Now, there will be 2 motos to decide the overall Golden State title. This is just one. The second moto, they'll combine the points. Second moto having a little more importance as far as points are concerned to determine a champion today.
We've seen first, second, and third come through. Now we back to 4th and 5th. Here is that fight. Currently, it is Ty Davis and Rick Ryan battling. In 6th place is Michael Craig, number 40.
But Paul, he may not stay there long. Craig's Yamaha number 40 showing a lot of horsepower as he's trying to get around one arm. Rick Ryan, a Honda privateer. The two of them are side by side. Michael Craig, number 40, on the outside, completes the pass and moves into 5th.
So Michael Craig comes one position forward on number 40. Back at the front of the field, number 6, Raider Manna continues his lead. He led right from the start of the race. Rick Ryan on 66 is second. And in 3rd place is the young 15-year-old rider, Sean Kalos.
You know, recently CMC took Sean Salis to Hawaii for a stadium motocross event. At 14 years of age, he lapped the field.
And he's showing some of that style right now as look at him. Sean Kalos moves past Mike Healy on that Italian Cajiva bike and picks up 2nd place and now is in pursuit of number 6, Raider Manna, for the lead. So Sean Kalos at age 15 shows that he has what it takes to be a pro. On the other hand, most interesting situation is we take a look at Mike Healy. He is riding an Italian manufactured bike. The Italians not normally prominent in motocross racing. So earlier, Steve Evans had an opportunity to take a look at this new entry here at Carlsbad.
In Italy, north of Milano, is the village of Varese, and there you will find the Cagiva Motorcycle Factory. Now, if that name is not familiar to you, let me tell you it is to many people in the world, because the last 2 years, Cagivas have won the 125cc World Championship. And talking to the mechanics of Mike Healy's number 66 bike here, it's no particular thing. It's got excellent rear suspension, the swing arm, and also the shock here. The 125cc liquid-cooled engine seems to be beautifully tuned, the workmanship flawless. And up front, it's got what they call white power upside down forks, okay? Makes them very easy to work on. You do that from the bottom, and also gives them a lot of strength in the triple clamp area here. So it'll be interesting to see how the Cagiva does on these shores. It certainly has a reputation throughout the rest of the world.
Well, it's having its problems handling the Yamaha of Sean Kalos. Kalos was in third, got past Healy. Healy now is back in third place with that Cagiva, and Sean Kalos rides in second. Our leader remains Raider Mana.
And one thing these riders have to be constantly cautious of, the track is changing all the time. Berms are being built where they didn't exist earlier. Here's a terrific race for 4th and 5th. 11, Ty Davis on his Honda, he's in 4th, and 40, Michael Craig on the Yamaha in the 5th position.
Looking back, a fight for 6th place now developing between Rick Ryan, Larry Brooks, Mickey Diamond, and Tyson Boland. Now, Mickey Diamond on 1D, the report from the paddock is suffering from the flu, but he's not going to give up. He's currently battling for 6th place. 6th is currently occupied by Rick Ryan.
Oh, it takes more than a little bug to get these guys down, Paul, as you well know. They just are hard as nails. The best conditioned athletes in the world, motocross riders, and that's not a cliche. That is a proven fact. But for poor Mr. Diamond, there's nothing like the flu to sap your strength. Still, he's out there and he looks competitive.
Back at the front, Sean Kalos now challenges Raider Mana, and Kalos picks up first. Mana comes back. Mana on number 6. That's Kalos on 911. First, second, and third all running right together. Mike Healy, number 66, currently rides on third, and he begins to close down. But Sean Kalos picked the lead up. There is that young man, 15 years old, out in front. Raider Mana on the inside tries him once again, and Healy continues to tap at the back door of Mana.
Well, this is going to make Sean Kalos' grandfather smile. He is so dedicated to this young man's motocross career. They want him to get noticed a little more by the factories, maybe become a full factory-sponsored rider. He's what they call a support rider now. He gets a few parts, but that's about it. And there's no place Grandpa won't take that young man to show him off, including Hawaii.
So Sean Kalos now begins to show some of that style that we talked about earlier on his demonstration rides in Hawaii. Sean Kalos, look at the interval that he now has as we watch the battle for 2nd place. Raider Mana comes to the inside. There you see him on number 6, and right behind him is Mike Healy. Now, Healy once again riding that Italian Cagiva. That is a bike that is brand new. It's only been in the country a short time, and Healy is still trying to sort it out to find its idiosyncrasies, and he's doing so while he chases Raider Mana. Out in front still is Sean Kalos. So it's Kalos, followed by Mana, Healy, Davis, and Craig. All California riders composing the top 5. We'll be back with more from Carlsbad.
Because he lives in the San Diego Wild Animal Park, just a few miles east of Carlsbad Raceway. And he's privy every day to gorillas and giraffes and koala bears and all the wonders of this incredible facility. And from time to time, we'll come back and visit this and show you some of the wonders of nature here in North San Diego County.
In the meantime, back on the circuit, number 66, Mike Healy on the Italian bike is back in 2nd place. We're at the CMC Dodge Truck Golden State Nationals. I'm Paul Page with Steve Evans, and we're watching the 125cc Pros.
Let's watch Mana and Healy fly off what they call the ledge. You can see the body English right there as they literally turn those machines in air. I'm not sure you ride these machines, Paul. I think you team up with it. You got to become one.
Well, the combination of rider and machine is so very important, and a simple extension of oneself. Some of the riders have actually expressed it in those terms, same as any really competent racing car driver. You have to meld with this machine, and that still is an unfamiliar area for Healy, who is still trying to learn the bike. Raider Mana, number 6, the green machine. He rides in 3rd place right now, and they are both chasing Sean Kalos, who sits out in front. He took the lead a little earlier on. And, of course, they all work their way around this circuit at Carlsbad, California. Over 20 years old, Steve steeped in tradition, the first motocross course ever in the United States. It has challenged riders for years and years. A bit earlier, both Steve and I had an opportunity, with the course closed, to take a look at the circuit at Carlsbad.
The starting turn here at Carlsbad is only used once in each moto, but it can be the most physical turn on the racetrack because you can have as many as 36 riders on that gate, accelerate to 60 miles an hour down that 200-yard straight, and then all try to funnel into a turn that's only half as wide as the gate. It's a 180-degree downhill hairpin. Now, if you get a good start, the ideal line is right through the center of this course, not on the inside where you lose momentum. If you're a good rider, but you happen to have troubles at the gate, the best way to recover, use all your power, get to the outside and try to flat track it through the starting turn, passing as many riders as possible. To a man, they'll tell you, this turn is like trying to roller skate in a buffalo herd.
Well, Steve, that herd roars through 3 very, very tight turns, sorts itself out, and heads for one of the most important sections on the circuit. So important that it often controls the victory. It's called the ledge. It's an uphill climb. The riders have a nice wide approach. They can set the bike well, and then they launch 5 feet into the air. As they're in the air, they turn the bike, settling down here and facing yet another jump and then a downhill. But this is still not the most awesome jump on the circuit.
No, Paul, it's not. But that treacherous mound may very well be. That is located about a third of the way down the area of the Carlsbad course they call the freeway. It's downhill, the equivalent of a drop off a 10-story building. And anyone who's ever ridden a motorcycle, even recreationally, can tell you it's harder to go fast downhill than it is up. You've got a tremendous assist from gravity, and also the weight transfer is all wrong. Suddenly it's all on the front tire with the rear wheel trying to kick loose. So it's off that ledge, another couple of doubles, another good-sized drop, and into a hard left-hand turn that's going to require a lot of front brake.
The brakes are a key factor in the final section of the circuit as well. It's a gentle climb through a right-hand bend. They're coming up to full throttle now through some small jumps, but then they come for this ledge section that is called the Devil's Drop. Off of here is a 20-foot vertical fall, and as the riders approach the top, they'll tap the brakes. The idea is to set the bike heading downhill because every second they spend in the air slows them down, and sometimes they'll fly as far as 50 or 60 feet. Back on the ground, back on the power, around a bend, and onto the finish line.
Well, one bike and rider working very well out here right now is this man, Mickey Diamond. Flew or not, 1D Honda is flying out there. He is now 5th. Up front is Sean Kalos, the young 15-year-old pro, number 911, followed by the Italian bike rider, Mike Ely, Raider Manna, who's performed up front all race long. And, Paul, this course is changing dramatically. Now, it's damp right in that area, as it was this morning, but look at that turn. It's drying out, and it's very easy for the bike to just wash out from under you.
Going through it now, a fight for 4th place. Number 40 is Michael Craig, and that is Mickey Diamond, again the young lad with the blue, chasing down. It's a contest for 4th place. Mickey Diamond continues at the back of Craig. They both use the same line through this corner. There's young Mickey Diamond. Remember, he's not feeling very well at all. Craig currently in 4th place. Diamond stays right behind him, follows his line through, closes up under braking. Now he's right in there and ready for the charge. Still, it is Craig that is able to hold 4th position.
But both Craig and Diamond are closing on Raider Manna, who led a few of the early laps. And, Paul, it just amazes me the punishment these guys can take. The elbows, the upper arms, the whole upper body, the legs, the knees acting as shock absorbers to try to add more suspension than just the bike offers. You just saw Diamond's bike stand straight on in and try to buck him off.
So Diamond closes down on the 40 bike of Michael Craig. Now, as we see him go away, you see Craig is wearing number 3 on the back of his leathers. But we go with the bike number here, and as we look from the front, you see he is number 40. So don't get confused. That's Raider Manna that is on number 6, and he currently occupies 3rd place. But look at this. Mickey Diamond almost gets both of them on the outside. Now they string out once again, but Diamond definitely on the charge as he closes down on Craig and Manna.
I think he would have had him. Raider Manna did a good job of blocking him. So now Mickey Diamond's got to settle down and try on another section of the track. Here he comes. Mickey Diamond on the right-hand side of your straight. He has got 4th position and now goes after Raider Manna.
So now it is Diamond chasing Mana. The battle is for third place as Diamond, despite whatever illness he may have, is really performing here at Carlsbad. He chases now Raider Mana, but look at Craig. Craig comes back and tries to get back at Diamond.
Just a tremendous race for that third position. And here comes Mickey Diamond again. He is closing up on that third spot that Raider Mana now owns. That's the factory Honda. With 22-year-old Mickey Diamond goes into third.
Diamond gets it done. Now remember, out in front is Sean Kalos being followed by Healy. Then this tremendous fight for third place. At the moment, third belongs to Mickey Diamond. But it continues to be a fight as Mana almost upsets his bike between Diamond, Mana, and Craig.
Well, a front tire on one of these machines, Paul, would last a long, long time because they are on the throttle grip so hard that the front tire hardly ever has any weight if it's even on the ground at all.
You know, sometimes people want a lot of power in their racing machines, but these 125s are a great example that power isn't always the answer. A well-balanced, lightweight machine with reasonable power is often easier to control than something with awesome power. Many drivers will tell you that a Formula Atlantic car is a lot more enjoyable to drive than a Formula One or an Indy car.
Well, not particularly comfortable with the presence of number 40, Michael Craig, is number 6, Raider Mana, because Michael is right on his fiberglass fender trying to take that fourth place spot away from him.
So while they've strung out first, second, and third, first is Kalos, second is Healy, third is Diamond. Here is the fight now as we watch Mana being chased by Craig.
Interesting to watch the different lines these riders take, depending on their size, their physical ability, the power band of their motorcycle. Guys are running all over this racetrack right now and flying all over, to might add, as well. Look at number 40, Michael Craig, taking a beat on number 6, Raider Mana.
But Craig can't get past Mana. Mana holds a position. Here comes Craig again. He tries to the outside. Some of the support crews may have been a factor in that one. They're not a factor here as Craig come past Mana, and Craig now has fourth place.
And he did it on the inside. Just a beautiful move. Maneuvering that motorcycle on a tight left-hander, and that put him in the fourth position. What a ride.
So they swap positions once again here at Carlsbad Raceway. Kalos leads it. In second place is Healy, and a tremendous fight all the way through the pack.
Motocross action continues. And factory Kawasaki rider number 6, Raider Mana, can't seem to shake Honda privateer Larry Brooks, number 28, for the 5th position. In the top 5, there are 4 different brands of motorcycles represented. Sean Kalos on a Yamaha, Mike Healy on a Kajiva, Diamond on a Honda, Michael Craig on a Yamaha, Raider Mana, as we talked about, on a Kawasaki.
And Mana is being worried by this man, number 28, Larry Brooks. The fight is for 5th place. Now, Mana started out very strong, but he's been slowly slipping backwards. Now he has to contend with Brooks, and Brooks really wants that 5th position. As Brooks accelerates, tries to catch Mana. Mana has a little better acceleration, which means better positioning off the corner. But look at Brooks as he closes down under braking, reaches up, adjusts his goggles, almost gets an inside shot on Mana. Now they continue the pursuit. Mana is still running in 5th, but Brooks would like to have it.
We've talked, Paul, about how many factory riders there are in this field. The Japanese especially take the 125 class very seriously. The reason being there are more 125s sold in this country than the other size motorcycles all put together. So it's very important to do well on the racetrack. That's what sells motorcycles.
Can't be any finer demonstration of performance than watching these 125s at a place like Carlsbad, especially when you consider the tremendous tradition over 20 years of motocross racing here. Now Brooks closes down on Mana once again, tries the outside, ducks to the inside, can't get it done. They come up single file, over the jump. Again, Brooks down to the inside. Mana holds him off.
And ultimately, a 5th place finish in this first moto could be as important as winning it, because there'll be another race, they'll combine the points. And if you should get a bad start, let's say, in that second moto and be able to work your way back up, a 5th and a 4th could win it overall.
I'll tell you, Steve Evans, you don't see any finer riding than this. This wonderful battle for 5th place as Raider Mana tries to hold off Larry Brooks. And this point system inspires just this kind of thing. They fight and fight and fight to get every possible point they can. And that creates a fight like this for 5th place.
What Raider Mana is trying to do here is protect that inside line in particular corners like this one. If he goes high, Larry Brooks will dart right in there and take that spot from him.
Remember, Sean Kalos is still the leader. The battle for second place is right here. Mike Healy, number 66, and Mickey Diamond, 1D. Diamond currently runs in third place as he tries to catch Healy on that Italian bike. Again, a bike that is new to Healy, and he's still trying to figure it out.
Well, Mickey Diamond is trying to figure it out as well. Of course, he's on one of the finest prepared bikes you could possibly be aboard. The Honda factory mechanics brought this out. All he had to do was get on it. And here's this Cagiva, it's called, from Italy out in front of him, and he's having a hard time with it.
Out in front of the field on his Yamaha, Sean Kalis, number 911, the 15-year-old, really performing spectacularly here at Carlsbad. At the same time, we watch this fight. There comes Mickey Diamond, number 1D, as he continues his battle, and we get the white flag indicating just one more lap to go.
Paul, can you imagine Sean Kalos in 5 years? The way he rides now, if he stays healthy and dedicated, the kind of motocross athlete he will be.
It's going to be absolutely unbelievable. All of these riders, though, are really incredible athletes. You've mentioned it. It bears saying again that they are unbelievable athletes, better trained than marathoners, the finest physical specimens in the world.
And it wasn't always that way. In the early days of motocross, the Europeans would come to the U.S. and totally dominate. Our riders would go to Europe and be humiliated. But suddenly, our riders adopted the same kind of training regimen. They would ride for hours and hours without a seat on the motorcycle to force them to develop their legs. The big difference, though, has been, I think, mini bike racing, Paul. Now our guys are starting at the age of 6 and 7, and they own world motocross.
By the time you get up to be a 17, 18-year-old running in the Pro Series, you've been a veteran for 10 years, and it shows in the performance of the American riders today. We watch as Diamond continues his chase of Healy. It's a battle for second place. Sean Kalis is out in front on the final lap of the run. Here is the fight. Mike Healy on that Italian bike. He continues to have Diamond battle at his back door. Remember, Diamond suffering from the flu, but you sure can't tell it in his riding.
No, I think his success here today is going to make him feel a whole lot better, more than all the aspirin in the world. But here is Sean Kalis. Remember, we're on the last lap. That is a 15-year-old youngster who is just running away from him. A little salute coming off. Devil's Drop. Sean Kalos gets the checkered flag. He has won the first moto, throws his goggles to the crowd. And here comes number 28, Larry Brooks. He has taken the 5th spot. Just behind him, yes, is number 11, Ty Davis. He got 6th. And Radar Manna, who had such a nice ride, has dropped back to the 9th position. A great mix of makes involved. Sean Kalos, of course, winning it, followed by the Italian bike of Healy, Mickey Diamond on his Honda. And here's how the points have been awarded. 41 for Kalos, 38 from Healy, and so on down the line. Sean well knows that he'll have to get a good start and a high-place finish in the second moto to win it overall.
Well, here he is, 15-year-old Sean Kalis. You never really seemed like you were challenged.
Well, I really wanted this race bad. I was hungry. I've been having a lot of bad luck lately, and I really did want to win this one.
Was there any particular problem in any time, or was it just a breeze?
Oh, I started to get a little tired at the end, but everything was going great. The bike was great, the track was, and I felt good.
You weren't bad yourself. Congratulations, Sean.
Thank you.
Let's go back now to Steve.
Paul, not all the hot 125s come from Japan, as Mike Healy proved today on the Cagiva. Fine ride, a good, strong second.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Little history on this bike. When did you get your hands on it?
I've had it for about a month and a half now, and I had a little trouble with Suzuki, and I talked to Cagiva, and they were really, positive with me, so went out, tried the bike. It was really great, and I just went in and signed my contract.
Any differences you notice between the Italian machine and the Japanese bikes you have ridden before?
It's a lot finer tuned. Everything's handmade. It's a really nice bike.
Well, arrivederci. We'll see you in moto number 2.
Thank you.
The Cagiva definitely working very well for Mike Healy. He finishes in second. And up on the line, the quads are ready to run. 18 machines ready to race in their first moto. We'll be right back.
Is to strengthen a commitment to wildlife conservation throughout the world and to strive towards man's own survival through the preservation of nature. Where does a 600-pound gorilla sleep? Anywhere she wants to, and there are no better digs than right here.
Well, we're back at Carlsbad Raceway for the CMC Dodge Truck Golden State Nationals. I'm Paul Page with Steve Evans, and the quads are ready to run.
And with the quads, you hear a lot more talk about tires than you do on the motorcycles. Earlier, Paul had a look at the kind of tire technology involved.
Tires, of course, are critical in all forms of racing, certainly in the ATV-4s. This is Jim Putman's Suzuki. Now, normally, this machine would come with this particular tire mounted as an all-terrain tire. But then they borrow some technology from the sprint cars as they run on the dirt. That is, they make the tire much more narrow. That is to make the steering run easier. They also have a wider diameter tire, so it's taller, so it goes in and out of the bumps easier and gets over the course easier. Then at the back, again, this is where the power is laid down. About 10 pounds of tire pressure. It moves back and forth as the tire goes through the dirt in the corners. Because of that, it has a tendency to completely roll off the rim. So they build the rim up, even to the point of the, again from the sprint cars, the bead block to keep the tire on the rim as it races.
Well, Marty Hart, closest to our camera, he hopes his tires stay on the rims of his new Honda machine. The gate falls towards them. They don't dare try to cheat it. Now, there's a different kind of danger here. These are like open-wheel race cars, Indy cars, Formula One cars. If you get tire to tire, somebody's going to flip, Paul Page.
Well, Donnie Banks jumps off into the lead, but unlike the bikes, it's a lot narrower system that you have to get through here just simply because everybody else is so much wider. It seems like we've got a group of guys here who can't decide, do they want to race cars or do they want to race on the bikes?
Well, one thing they figured out, they're all in their mid to late 20s, and the motorcycles were starting to ride them. And this is just a nice place for them to go. It's not quite as physically demanding, but certainly takes the same level of skill.
It's nice to have these ATV-4s come along because it does create yet another area for a rider to go. When he's done with riding on the motocross circuit on the two wheels, he gets a little older, his physical conditioning deteriorates a little bit. Now he can run the ATV-4.
It extends his career because the factories are just as interested in winning here as they are with the bikes. They're selling a lot of these vehicles.
Donnie Banks leads it. Jimmy White second. Ron Beebe is third. Rodney Fowler fourth. Jim Putman is fifth. And Jeff Watts runs along in sixth now.
And Donnie Banks is on one of those Hondas. Suzuki, as I mentioned earlier, they had the whole field covered last year, but now some other manufacturers have entered the fray. And look, Paul, a little sprint car action going on out there. They like to slide them a bit.
Nice little fight there for fifth between Jim Putnam on 12 and 46L. That's Jeff Watts. Now watch Watts as he is really beginning to pour on the power.
He's a 24-year-old rider from Anaheim, California, on a Suzuki. Now up front, number 31W, Jimmy White, he's running second with his Suzuki. In front of him is a Honda, Donnie Banks, and behind him, number 25, Ron Beebe, also a Honda. So a great showing by that new machine.
In fact, Steve, if you look at the top six, 3 are Suzuki, 3 are Honda. So they're spaced well, currently being led by Donnie Banks. There he is, that D4. It is a Honda machine, followed by the Suzuki of Jimmy White.
And a totally different sensation for these drivers as they try to fly those machines. They don't want to fly them if they can help it, Paul. They'd like to keep that wheel on the ground all the time. But some of these jumps are so steep and have a lip that you just can't avoid it.
The battle for first place. You're watching first, second, and third, as despite the fact they don't want to get in the air, indeed, the way this course is laid out, you have very little choice in some places.
I'll tell you, a rider of one of these ATV-4s is just as tired as a two-wheel rider when he gets off that course. It's that tough. I think it takes a little more arm strength maybe to move these machines around.
As they continue to work their way around the circuit here at Carlsbad, no change at the top of the field. It is still Donnie Banks leading it. But let's go back a little bit in the field and take a look at the battle for fourth place. Coming off of the ledge, that's Rodney Fowler, 14F, and he's being chased by the 46L machine. That is Jeff Watts. It's a battle for fourth.
You know, another place in Southern California you'll find these ATV-4s is on small speedway motorcycle flat tracks like Costa Mesa and Ascot. Boy, they have a great time with them there, just much like you would an oval track race car. There's Rodney Fowler. He's got a big grin on his face. We took that picture. I don't know about now, though.
Not with Jeff Watts, 46, right behind him. Watts comes up on the outside. He's going to try Fowler. He comes down the outside as they come down the freeway. He pulls alongside. Can he hold him? He gets to the inside of the corner, but Fowler still holds him off. And now, 46, Jeff Watts moves along and picks up fourth.
One thing you do notice with the ATV-4s, Paul, is their speed is greatly reduced from the two-wheelers, and that's an added safety factor for them.
So currently running in fourth place is 24-year-old Jeff Watts. And here in the ATV-4s, most of the riders are 24, 25, 26 years old. Back to the front of the field once again. It is still Donnie Banks, and Jimmy White is right there, knocking on the back door, with Ron Beebe running in third place. Jimmy White tried desperately to get up and get around Donnie Banks. Machine's a little bit wider, so Banks can use his machine to try and block out the charge of White.
There's a temptation reputation here for me to call these riders, but anytime you're on four wheels, as far as I'm concerned, you're a driver. So Paul, look how these drivers slide all over that machine, using their weight specifically in the turns to try to gain traction to drive around them.
Well, Steve, you may have pointed out the one key difference between a rider and a driver, and that is these lads aren't attached to the machines by any sort of seatbelt or safety system, so maybe they're really riders.
And to contradict myself, maybe to be a driver, you have to have a steering wheel and not handlebars.
Whatever they are exciting to watch as we look back to see the 46 machine of Jeff Watts as he continues with that battle. Rodney Fowler trying to take fourth place away.
You know, the last thing you would want on a machine like this would be seatbelts. You'd want to get away from it if you get in trouble.
Looking back to the front of the field once again, it is Donnie Banks that leads. Jimmy White second, Ron Beebe third, Jeff Watts is fourth, Rodney Fowler is fifth. We'll be back with more from Carlsbad.
This way in Southern California, I'm Steve Evans along with Paul Page for our coverage of the CMC Dodge Truck Golden State Nationals. Now among our ATV-4s, well, there's been no change in the top three. It's still Donnie Banks on a Honda D4 up front, followed pretty closely by 31W Jimmy White. He's on a Suzuki, and Ron Beebe in third. He's also on a Honda. So you got a Suzuki sandwiched in by two Hondas, Paul.
And these are machines that still are that cross between motorcycles and racing cars, though they obviously lean more toward being a motorcycle. And the riders seem to be happier with the idea that they'll get thrown off in case of an accident.
Oh, that's absolutely correct. You don't want to be strapped to any kind of a machine unless it's got a roll bar or roll cage over it. Then it's a horse of another color. But one thing is the same here between these guys and the motorcycle racers. They're all wearing the same exact safety gear. The helmets, the chest protectors, the shoulder pads, the new almost ski-type boots. These are very, very safely equipped riders.
These riders are also seeing a new circuit than they practiced on this morning. They've smoothed out the freeway in the interest of safety. We look now at the battle for fourth place. 46L, that's Jeff Watts. Rodney Fowler continues his challenge.
Well, the reasons those modifications were made, the freeway section has developed some nasty bumps that can pitch these things in for inch, that did not make the kind of an adjustment with just weight and holding up on the handlebars that a cycle rider can make. They're a little different breed, and the course sometimes have to be a little different for safety reasons.
You know, these are sort of a new venue as we take a look at Donnie Banks, the leader, Jimmy White in second, and Ron Beebe in third. These are a new technology in racing, and so there's a lot to learn about them. But it's amazing to me as we look right here that they can take the same sort of obstacles and challenges that the two-wheel motorcycles can as we watch them as they work their way down the freeway.
You know, Paul, and the beating that these riders take is just incredible. Maybe they don't need the sheer physical strength that the two-wheelers have, but it's all the shock that is transmitted back through their bodies. That's why the ATV-4 races are usually shorter than the two-wheel variety.
They're a bit of a combination between the two-wheel motocross and maybe more like snowmobiling, where they slide back and forth across the machine to get it into the corner exactly where they want it. Unfortunately, it's not as smooth as running a snowmobile on ice or on snow.
You know, something else I like about these little mini racers is you don't need a fancy trailer or truck. You can just slide in the back of the family station wagon. There is the last lap flag being displayed for our leader, D4 Donnie Banks on the Honda. Still in second place, 31W Jimmy White. That's a Suzuki. And still in third place, yet another Honda, Ron Beebe T25.
Donnie Banks unchallenged for the lead at the moment, but a nice little fight. Working up for second place. Jimmy White is second at the moment. And Ron Beebe is closing down behind him. That's Beebe, number 25. Just ahead of him is Jimmy White. The leader, uncontested, but possibly a change in position. On this, the last lap for second place.
And, Paul, these guys are tired. You can tell as they come off of the ledge there. It's just not quite as high in the air, not quite as aggressive. Everybody's arms are starting to go away on it.
The fight continues for fourth, though unchanged. 46L, Jeff Watts is fourth. In fifth place is Rodney Fowler. They've fought all afternoon, the entire run here for fourth place. It stays static.
Here's our leaders. That is D4 Donnie Banks, just making that right-hander, number 4, followed pretty closely now by Jimmy White on the Suzuki, trying to save a little of Suzuki's reputation here. These Hondas have come on very strong, surprising a lot of people.
And coming on strong as well is Jeff Watts. 46L is now running in third place, and he's closed up behind the leader, Donnie Banks, and second place, Jimmy White. There they are.
That's right, but it's still Donnie Banks and Jimmy White here battling it out for first and second. Jimmy White trying to find some place to pass. It's a little harder with these wider machines with 4 wheels than it is the narrower motorcycle, and he hasn't got much time. Oh, this course is getting treacherous for these machines. Between their action and the earlier action of the motorcycle, this is one bumpy, devilish Carlsbad Raceway. There's our leader, D4. Donnie Banks on the Honda, just another couple of jumps, humps, and turns, and over the Devil's Drop he comes. There is the checkered flag for Donnie Banks on the D4 Honda. Likewise, a checker for the second place rider, Jimmy White, 31W on the Suzuki. And here's the final results. Donnie Banks puts one in the bank. Remember, it's a combination of 2 motos. Jimmy White in second, Jeff Watson on for third, Ron Beebe finished fourth, Rodney Fowler in the 5th position. Now let's see how the points are awarded. 41 for Banks, 38 for White, so on down the line. Now after the second moto, the points will be combined to determine the overall winner. Paul?
Donnie, good run. Any particular problems?
No, I was getting a little tired out there. It's getting real choppy. And my suspension wasn't handling as good as I want, but the power sounded real good. I didn't think there's any problems, though.
For safety purposes, they made some changes with the circuit. Did that throw you a curve?
Coming down the hill, yeah. I was taking it a little bit slow anyway because it's a long way to the bottom, you know. If you were to fall or something, it'd be a long way. So I was smooth and trying to get smooth and just take it easy and hold the lead. That's all I was trying to do.
Well, you got it done. Congratulations. We'll see you a bit later. Let's go back to second place and Steve Evans.
That's John, second place for Jimmy White. Jim, are you a little surprised the Honda is this quick this soon?
Not really. The Honda isn't really as good a bike as the Suzuki, and Clem Research has really got my Suzuki running well. It's got a real good motor in it.
Well, Steve, it was still a Honda that finished first. Here's Ty Davis on his 125. He finished 6th in the first moto, earned 31 points. How will he do in the second? We'll find out. The 125s are coming up.
The CMC Dodge Truck Golden State Nationals. It's time for the final moto of the 125 Pros. This man is ready. That's Mickey Diamond, 1D, a factory Honda rider. He finished 3rd in moto number 1 and garnered 36 points. Here are the boots of number 66, Mike Healy. You'll remember he rides the Italian Cagiva. He finished 2nd with 38 points. He looks a little like a spaceman with a stylized helmet and football-style shoulder pads.
And the man who won the first moto, really a boy, 15 years old, Sean Kalos, he rides the Yamaha. He's ready to roll out. He already has 41 points as a result of that victory in Moto 1. This is Moto 2. This will decide the overall winner for these 36 riders.
Indeed, you can see the starter. When he turns that card sideways, there'll be just seconds until that gate falls towards you. In the old days, the gate fell away. There's Diamond right in the center of your picture. He turns that card sideways, there'll be just seconds until that gate falls towards you. In the old days, the gate fell away. There's Diamond right in the center of your picture. In the old days, the gate fell away. You could cheat it. Not here. And Diamond is hung up on the gate. Diamond has got that pipe hung up between the front wheel and the engine gate as the rest of the field thunders into turn 1. And now Diamond, boy, does he have to play catch-up on that Honda.
Devastating situation for Mickey Diamond, who almost drops the bike again. His day is going terribly as the rest of the field roars away. Diamond hangs up in the gate and then almost drops the bike.
And that field is being led by number 66, Mike Healy, on the Cagiva. In the second spot, on a Honda 1R, is Rick Ryan. In the third spot is Raider Manna, number 6.
You know, Steve, I can't get over what a nice showing this is for that new Italian Cagiva bike. Here it is, its first real performance, and it is really showing well for Mike Healy as he runs out in front of the field. Now, here comes the field over the ledge now as we watch everybody come through.
And bringing up the rear is Sean Wooten, but bringing up the rear even further back is 1D Mickey Diamond. I hate to say it this early, Paul, but it would take a miracle for him to garner enough points here to win this thing overall now.
The leaders strung out, running smooth. We take a look here. The battle for 7th place. Tyson Boland and Mike Kurowski are running in 7th. Currently, Boland has it, but he is being challenged by number 42.
Tyson Boland, number 38, is on a Kawasaki, and he's a fast-rising young rider in CMC competition. They expect great things from this kid over at Kawasaki, the Mean Green Machine.
So the 125s in their second and final moto of the day, and Mike Healy on that new Italian bike is in front. He's being chased by 1R, Rick Ryan. Ryan closes in just a bit. Raider Manna has moved into third place. Now remember, Manna ran in the lead in the first moto for a while and then suffered some sort of problem and fell backwards and backwards and backwards. So now he is trying to get back up to the front, score some points, get an overall win. There he is, number 6.
And he still finished 9th in the first moto, so he's not out of hope here. He could win this thing overall if the leaders have some problems.
Raider Manna, number 6, currently rides in third. Remember, in the first moto, he finished 9th. He ended up in a collision with Larry Brooks that put him well back.
Well, speaking of Larry Brooks on the number 28 machine, Paul, there he is. He's in the 4th position with the 1X bike of Jeff Bethane, giving him some pressure. Now, our leader up front, Mike Healy, he's got to be wondering where Sean Kalos is. And Sean won the first moto. I'm sure his crew about to display a pit board to him saying, hey, you don't have to push too awfully hard because Sean is way back at a terrible start.
There's Larry Brooks, number 28. He is a privateer, rides Payne his own way, rides a Honda. Showing very well at the moment. He's running at 4th place.
And it's this kind of showing that catches the factory attention, or maybe a major motorcycle dealer. And they say, hey, come on, kid, we'll help you out a little bit, and let's see just how you can progress if you have the right kind of equipment and maybe take some of that pressure off you as far as paying the bills are concerned. Now, poor Mickey Diamond here is 1D. He's just kind of loping along out there. His day, for all intents and purposes, is over, and this is why. You see him looking at that gate? Well, he tried to cheat the gate just a little bit and got hung up on the pipe. And I think, Paul, there may be some damage to the front end of that machine. That's why he's not up to speed out on the course.
You see, he tries to fight the bike back out of the gate, and it's tough to get it to come loose. And then, as he took off, this occurred. He dug that front wheel in and almost totally lost control of the bike. Only incredible skill really got it back under him. So the combination of the two have put him so far back, it really doesn't matter at this moment. We look at the fight now for second place. On the Honda, Rick Ryan, 1R. He's being chased by Raider Manna, the 20-year-old on the number 6 Kawasaki.
And Raider last season won the Dodge Dakota Transcal CMC Series. That was a big victory for him, and he's still in the hunt for this one. Rick Ryan, 1R, a Honda-mounted rider, currently in the 2nd position with Raider Manna right behind him.
And remember, Ryan is a privateer. Once again, he pays his own way. He went out, bought the bike in the store, has no particular special support from the manufacturers in any way. He is, on the other hand, running against bikes that are prepared, paid for, engineered, designed, completely supplied by the factory. So when he's this far forward, he's doing very well.
Let me tell you the dark horse here. That's Larry Brooks, number 28. He's in the 4th place right now and starting to pick on the 3rd place rider, number 6, Raider Manna.
Behind him, Larry Brooks finished 5th in the first moto, earned 32 points, so he's trying to get as far forward as he can. But at the moment, we still have Mike Healy running in 1st place. He finished 2nd in the first moto, so unless something happens to Healy, he seems to be a shoe-in on that Italian bike for the overall win.
But if something does happen to Healy, we are going to need a computer to figure out who wins this thing overall.
So the possibilities here at Carlsbad, at the moment at least, are endless, and that makes for great racing.
Well, the youngster that captured our imagination and attention to the first moto, Sean Kalos, 911, he's way back in 2013. He had a bad start, very similar to Mickey Diamond's, the 1D rider. So there's Sean. You saw his shining face when Paul talked to him earlier after that first moto. But right now, he's just struggling back there.
But notice, Sean is not about to give up. He's going to continue to fight. Just ahead of him, A.J. Whiting, Eddie Hicks. He's trying to fight with both of them. He may not be a winner at the end of the day, but he's going to ride for all it's worth.
And this is one sport you don't ever want the reputation as a quitter. You ride as hard as you can, despite whatever problems you may be having physically or with the machine.
Still out in front of this field is Mike Healy. We're watching the back of the pack now as 911, Sean Kalos, who won the first moto, got a terrible start, trying desperately to work his way up and at least put some sort of showing into this field.
Well, it's at moments like this that a youngster like Sean has to remember those good days and know that they'll come again. Like I mentioned earlier, in Aloha Stadium last season, at the age of 14, he completely lapped the professional field. And I had personally never seen that done before, Paul.
And at age 13, he became one of the youngest pros ever in CMC history. So he's been riding as a pro now for several years, and he's only 15 years old.
And he's a support rider currently, but I have a feeling that's going to change very soon. His grandfather's a great big bus with a workshop in it, and they travel in style. He wants this boy to go somewhere and is willing to put up whatever it takes.
I don't think there's any question that Yamaha is taking a hard look at Sean, the possibility of moving him up to a full factory contract sometime in the very near future.
Well, if they're not, another manufacturer might be.
One very, very tough rider, 911 Sean Kalis. Back to the lead. Here is number 66, the Italian bike, Mike Healy. And in second place, 1R, Rick Ryan, a privateer riding on the Honda. So two unusual situations. This new Italian bike out in front and a privateer on a Honda in second place. There is Mike Healy on that new bike. He is our leader at the moment, and he is in very good position to pick up an overall win. Remember, he finished second in the first moto. So Mike Healy leads it, and it's a strong lead that he has over Rick Ryan. Mana is third, Brooks is fourth, Boland rides in fifth. We'll be back with more of the 120.
No, this is not the infield at Hialeah Racetrack in Florida. These flamingos are at the San Diego Wild Animal Park, where millions come each year to contemplate the wild animals of the world and nature's wilderness. And birds are a big part of this facility, which is owned and operated by the same people that manage the world-famous San Diego Zoo. This has to be a must on your vacation list in Southern California, and why not a trip to Carlsbad Raceway, where we continue with the 125 pros and the CMC Dodge Truck Golden State Nationals. I'm Steve Evans, along with Paul Page, and great racing we have seen today and continue to see.
As we look back in the field now, here is a fight for seventh. Jeff Festang runs in seventh at the moment on 1X, and that's Mike Kydrowski on 42 chasing him down.
And all the action on the course today is starting to dry it out. You can see it's starting to get holes and whoop-de-doos, as the racers call them. It's getting more and more difficult to track that bike in a straight line. But Mike Healy is having pretty good luck at doing it on the Cajiva number 66. He is leading, but look at 1R Rick Ryan closing in on him.
I tell you, Rick Ryan has been there throughout this run. The Honda Privateer running very well. And once again, two extraordinary circumstances. A brand new bike out in front, a privateer chasing. I think you really have to give a lot of credit to Rick Ryan. He's maintained a position about 12 feet off the back of Healy's machine.
And you can bet Healy knows he's there. He can hear him. He can feel his presence. We talked about there being two motos and points awarded and combined. Well, if there's any kind of a tie, it's the finish in the second moto that breaks that tie. So the second moto, in that instance, can be a bit more important.
These two riders at the front of the field, Healy and Ryan, are really perfection. Look at the way they control these machines. Now, these 125s are nicely powered for their weight, and so the riders can really throw them around. And we've watched Mike Healy, despite the fact, as Steve mentioned, that the circuit is really drying out, and it's getting worse and worse with every lap. But still, he's a master at getting the machine around the circuit, getting it to settle down, keeping it out of the air, and keeping it on the power.
You know, Paul, they're headed uphill now, threading their way to the top of the mountain, which is the beginning of what we call the Carlsbad Freeway. And I think that downhill section, when we see Healy, that's a lot like a downhill skier. It takes some of the same abilities and balance.
As we take a look at the second-place rider who continues to chase Mike Healy, you know, there's another situation here, Steve, and that is that these riders, if you really want to be good in motocross in the world, you have to come to Southern California. And what a neat feeling it is to be at a circuit like Carlsbad that has all of the fine tradition, is older than any one of these riders here. You just know this is where all the greats are made, and I'm trying to be one, too.
Well, that's right, and there's a lot of publicity these days about Supercross in major stadiums around the country. They sell them out. Anaheim Stadium, 70-some-odd thousand people. The largest crowd ever in Anaheim Stadium was not for the Rams or baseball's Angels, but for a motocross. But to a lot of these riders, this is tradition. This is where real men race, outdoors in the wild.
Physically, what is the difference, Steve, between running this and running the Supercross?
Well, I think in many ways, Paul, they're equally punishing, because Supercross has towering jumps that just drop you off of, like driving off the roof of your house. It's not nearly as fast. You can't attain the speed, but they build such a rugged, bumpy, it's a course that makes the Baja look like a picnic.
On the other hand, Carlsbad really takes it out of you. In fact, on similar courses in Europe, when the riders are done, they just simply drop the bikes, run and collapse. They don't do interviews or anything.
And also here at Carlsbad, you have speed, great speed, and you better get used to it fast. Here's the race for third place coming at us right now.
number 6, Raider Manna, and he is being chased again and continually by number 28, Larry Brooks. Both men trying to figure into the points. Both men going for a first overall win should something happen to Mike Healy, but that doesn't appear likely at the moment. So they continue to chop at one another as we take a look at Larry Brooks. He runs in 4th. He is trying to move up.
And at this point in the race, your arms are getting tired, your legs are getting tired, your equipment is maybe getting a little bit tired. The oil is hot in the front forks. It's not dampening putt as well. The monoshock on the rear, same thing can happen there. So bike and rider, maybe not quite as good as they were when they left the gate.
Once again, though, Carlsbad has rewarded all of us with some tremendous fighting here. We're watching this wonderful battle at the lead, but again, as so often occurs in motocross, we're seeing fights all up and down through the field. Earlier, way back in 23rd, we watched Sean Kalis as he tried to work his way forward, not giving up simply because he got a bad start.
Well, I'll tell you, these two riders fighting for second and third right here are just beating on each other. One are Rick Ryan and number 6, Raider Manna. That's for the second position, and occasionally one guy will get out a couple of bike lengths, and then they'll almost hit. They get so close together, and can they ever fly? You'd think they had wings.
I think that battle is actually carrying them further forward because they're beginning to close down on Mike Healy now, who is running in first place. So as these two fight, they're picking up so much speed, they're closing down. But let's take just a moment to step away. We have a special report from our culinary experts.
Occasionally during our race coverage, I like to bring you a food report if there's something particularly good at that track, like the brats at Road America or the chicken at Watkins Glen. So I thought I better see what the great chefs of motocross have prepared for today's luncheon repast. So I get a hot dog from that stand there, $1.50. And I say to the guy, the weenie's cold. The guy says, I know, that's how we serve them. I said, why do you serve them cold? He said, because I got no way to heat them up. I said, what about the microwave there? He says, no, that's for the burritos. Bottom line of this report is, if you come to Carlsbad, bring your lunch. Here's Sundance.
Boy, I'll tell you, steak au poivre, coquille Saint-Jacques, or hot dogs, Steve's got all the answers.
And I will continue to. But if you come to Carlsbad along with your lunch, bring your binoculars for world-class motocross action. What a fight we've got, and it's starting to happen up front.
It's all happening at the front of the field. Mike Healy, number 66, is now being chased and pursued very closely by not only second place, but third place. He is trying desperately to hold off Rick Ryan, but look at Ryan. Ryan pulled up alongside for just a second. Now he drops back, moves to the other side. He continues in pursuit. Healy pulls away just a bit. Ryan closes once again. Manna comes up just behind as well. First, second, and third, all running right together. You can throw a blanket over him. Healy accelerates away. Now Ryan comes on the throttle. Raider is right behind. As here comes Rick Ryan trying to close again. They head for Devil's Drop. That's Healy coming over, then Ryan, then Manna. First, second, and third running right together.
And they all know, Paul, the time is starting to run out. If you got to make your move, now is going to be the time. And here is Raider Manna going right by Rick Ryan. Rick either missed a shift or he broke something as he is falling back.
Well, Steve, it looks like something's actually broken on the bike as Ryan slows down. Larry Brooks, number 28, comes by. Tyson Boland also gets by. So Ricky Ryan, who is really having a wonderful fight for the lead with Mike Healy, suddenly has something go askew, and he seems to be falling further backwards. Now we take a look once again. This is the race for third place. Larry Brooks and Tyson Boland. Here comes the 66 machine. That's your leader. That's Mike Healy. Now riding in second place is Raider Manna. And the fight is for third place between Brooks and Boland.
And here is Rick Ryan's Honda crew working on that bike. There's one man coming over, it looks like, with a pry bar that's down in the area of the transmission shifter, so maybe it is jammed in one gear or another. But anyway, he is back underway, and as he headed out on the course into the pits, he's going back to race some more.
Despite the fact that he's well behind this man, number 66, Mike Healy. But look at second place. Raider continues to try and catch Healy. And Healy is driving for all he's worth. But it seems that at this moment, Raider has more stamina and more power.
Absolutely, but Mike Healy has the advantage. He's in first place, and Raider's not. And that's going to be all important when the checkered flag. Oh, there was a bobble there by Mike Healy. He got his boot dug in to one of those soft banks. That's why the motocross coaches tell these guys, keep your feet on the pegs. Look at Raider. Raider dashes inside, side by side. What? A motorcycle race over the jump simultaneously. The better coming out of the experienced Mike Healy. Now Healy says, I got to get away from this guy. now. Try it high, get a burn shot. And he might have just tagged Radar a bit.
He almost got Rader into the dirt. Now Rader roars on the power once again. They're climbing up the hill, and Healy is trying desperately to get away. So Healy leads it, but he's being pursued closely. We'll be back with the finish right after this.
Of the 125 Pro Motocross, and Mike Healy, number 66 on the Italian-built Cagiva, continues but barely to hold off number 6, the Kawasaki of Raider Mana. I'm Steve Evans along with Paul Page, and Paul, they've got us on our feet for this one.
Oh, this has been a wonderful fight here at Carlsbad in the Golden State Nationals as we watch Mana continue to tap on the back door of Mike Healy. Healy has had such a wonderful afternoon. That Italian bike working so well, but now it's skill and machine trying to hold off Mana. Mana comes down to the inside. He pushes past Healy. He has the lead now. So Healy gives the lead up to Mana, and Healy begins to fall back just a bit. You know, Steve Evans, Mana sat lap after lap after lap behind Healy. I'm sure in all that time, he was able to work out exactly the spot that he performed just a little bit better. Some pretty bright racing.
And also, he was watching the leader, Healy, to see if there was any corner where he consistently went wide. He found one, took advantage of that. Now, Healy is going to try to strike back. He's got blood in his eye now.
Boy, what smart riding, though. Mike Healy rides in second, and look just behind him. Larry Brooks trying to close down as we take the white flag and begin the last lap with a change on the penultimate lap as Mana picked up the lead from Mike Healy.
Let's shift our conversation a bit to Larry Brooks on the Honda number 28. He is still in this thing. In fact, he is now starting to gain on Healy. Healy in the second place position.
Now the fight moves to second place, and it's really a three-way battle because Boland is moving in there as well. So Brooks chasing Healy. They come up to the top of the run. In the air now. As one gets into the side of the other, both maintain balance, but Brooks gets past, and Healy is forced off the side of the circuit.
He is, Paul, and that's going to cost Healy a couple of places as number 38 Tyson Boland took over the third spot. Mike Healy, that little encounter dropped him back to fourth, and he's kind of pulling to the inside. He may have bigger trouble than that, Paul.
You know, Steve, with that contact in the air coming off the ledge, I'm surprised that Healy stayed upright. Now look at him as he fights the bike, and that's Michael Craig on number 40 that is right behind him. He's got a number 3 on his back once again, but the bike is 40, and it is Craig, and he's trying to take fourth place away from Healy. There he gets it done. Healy still has his trouble.
And here's the race for second. 28 Larry Brooks, 38 Tyson Boland right behind him. There's racing going on all over this track. Well, there is Raider Mana headed for the checkered flag, but Paul, with Healy suddenly dropping back, Larry Brooks moving up, I'm not sure who is going to win this thing overall. That is going to be a CMC decision. They're going to have to head up the points and tell us.
Well, Brooks looks to be at a great position as we watch Mana head up for the Devil's Drop, down for the last time, and toward the checkered flag. Now, in second place is Larry Brooks as he comes across the line, finishing in second, so that should give Brooks enough points for an overall win.
Well, here's the finishing order for that second moto. It was Mana, Brooks, Boland, Craig, and Healy. But my numbers show a tie between Brooks and Healy. Let's go to Paul with Raider Mana.
Good run there, but the first moto really pulled you down.
Yeah, I got out there in the first couple laps and just got tense, and my arms pumped real bad, and I was just on my downdraft. And I was in fifth, and Larry right here rammed right in the side of me and took me out.
Then you're finally able to catch up to Healy. How'd you get past him?
He started making a lot of mistakes, and down the downhill, he went a little bit wide, and I cut on the inside of him.
So if you had only pulled that first moto a little stronger, you could have been first overall.
Yeah, it would have worked out a little bit better, but I got to learn to warm up my arms before the first moto.
Maybe next time.
All right.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
And the hard luck story of the day is Mike Healy, who finished fifth. He should be with Steve.
Well, Paul, I'm still waiting for Mike Healy here, and I think they're still computing the points. So, Brooks, you ended up in second spot in this moto. How about overall?
Real good. The first moto I rode pretty good, got a bad start. Started off way back and caught up to fifth, which I thought was pretty good. In second moto, I got a decent start and moved up to second. So, for fifth, the first moto, and the second moto will do pretty good.
Should put you close to the top, if not, maybe on top.
Yeah, they're saying I won overall, but I'm not sure yet. We'll wait for the official score.
Well, that's what we're waiting for as well. A fine ride. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Paul?
Terrific run there. Italian bike looks strong.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It is working really good, except for a little minor problem at the end of the race. Yeah, the silencer fell off the pipe, and I think I probably could have kept it up if it wasn't for that. Lost a lot of horsepower.
Were you getting a lot of pressure from behind?
I was getting, you know, a lot of it, but just Larry Brooks that was just here, you know, doesn't race fair and never has. You know, if he knew how to ride fair, you know, there wouldn't have been, you know, bumping out there, and it would have been clean racing. He landed on top of me, over jump, knocked my shoulder out of socket. Had to ride the last half of the race, you know, lap, with the shoulder out of socket. Came back in here, put it back in the socket, and the guy doesn't even say sorry for landing on me.
Is there anything you can do about that now?
Just race with him. That's all I can do.
And next time, beat him bad.
Yeah, next time I'll beat him.
Your shoulder's all right now?
Yeah, it's okay now.
Good talking with you.
Thank you.
Well, a lot of things can happen when two motorcycles are side by side, 10 feet in the air. We'll have to wait to find out who for sure is the overall winner among the 125 pros. But getting ready, the final moto of the ATV-4s. Stay with us.
See the animals in their natural habitat, like the elephants in the Elephant Overlook. A good day at the Animal Park in San Diego. Nice afternoon at Carlsbad as well. Let's try and explain the finish now overall in the 125s. Brooks and Healy, same number of points, but Brooks with a better finish in the second moto is now the winner. Let's go meet him with Steve Evans.
Well, Paul, I am back with Larry Brooks because we have just heard from the CMC scoring department, and indeed, Larry Brooks is our overall winner today at 125. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It was a hard day of racing, a lot of come from behind racing, but it got better at the end, and an overall is what I wanted.
Mike Healy had some words to say about that incident where he claims you landed on his shoulder, dislocated his shoulder.
He was a little upset. He tried to pull over on me and try to cut me off there in the air, and it doesn't really work in the air because I can't really control the bike's movement in the air. So it just landed where it was going to land, and it just happened to be on his shoulder, and I'm real sorry about that, but it's racing.
Again, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So Larry Brooks wins it all, and as always in racing, there's two sides to every racing story.
One more race to go, the ATV-4s. Here is number 46, Jeff Watts. He finished third in the first moto with 36 points. He's ready to roll. He runs against 31, Jimmy White. White finished second. He has 38 points from the first moto. And of course, Macon, Georgia's Donnie Banks sits on his Honda, number D4. He's ready to run as well. He has 41 points. Also, by the way, Donnie Banks is the oldest competitor in this field at age 28. The ATV-4s are now at the gate and ready to run.
And it was that number 4 Honda that won the very first moto, so he has more points than anyone else. He's the guy to catch. Now, just as with the two-wheelers, you don't really want to try to anticipate that gate. And they really everybody has their own little trick. They start the flag card, or you see them inching forward here, and it looks like a good start by most of the competitors as the herd heads down into the starting turn. The turn they only see once each race, and there's a rider sideways. That impedes the progress of some, but it looks like everybody gets through safely.
Jimmy White came off the line fastest and was running well down into the first turn. Now they've begun to string out just a bit. Everybody seems to be in good position.
Jimmy White with about a 3 ATV-4 length lead. Oh, and we've got a tangle there, Paul. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 riders involved.
Real traffic jam. Olmstead, William Pepper, Richard Worley, and Andrew Buck all tangle up there. Now they have to pull apart and get back into the chase. We go back to the lead.
And that is 31W Jimmy White, followed by Marty Hart on the number 17 machine, number 8 Eddie Sanders, 11F Sean Finley. Now Donnie Banks did not get that good a start on his D4 Honda, but won the first moto. He's going to have to catch up if he hopes to assure himself of an overall victory.
Marty Hart and Jimmy White battle. Here come the rest of the field through. And look at how much they have to fight those machines. It's terribly rough down here. It's really dried out. And to throw one of these machines around takes a lot of spirit out of anybody. They really have to fight. As we watch, Jimmy White leading Marty Hart. Now, Hart was right up on White's tail for a moment, but he's dropped back now, and Jimmy White continues his lead down the freeway.
You know, the terrain here at Carlsbad is starting to look kind of like the surface of the moon. This is the same racetrack in name only that these guys contested on earlier. The 125 pros in their final moto, they really dried it up and chewed it up. If I was one of these riders now, Paul, I think I'd take up an extra notch in the old kidney belt. They're really going to be tired when this one's over.
You know, Steve, all racetracks change throughout the day, everywhere from the Indianapolis 500 down to a little fifth of a mile track. But a motocross circuit changes more than anything else because they, as they pass over it, alter the contour of the circuit and change what it does to it.
Plus, you have the evaporation. If the sun's out, if it's cloud cover, you've got to try to gauge all of that.
We look back now to 6th place as Ron Beebe comes over in 6th. He's being chased by Rodney Fowler on 14F.
And still struggling back in the 5th position is Donnie Banks. He proves what we said earlier. The start in motocross competition, be it 2 or 4 wheels, can be everything. You see Banks 5th. Ahead of him is Jimmy White leading the pack. Marty Hart, Eddie Sanders, and Sean Finley. Stay with us for the conclusion.
Back at Carlsbad for the ATV-4s. Still, it is Jimmy White out in front. Marty Hart 2nd. Sean Finley is now up in 3rd. Donnie Banks running 4th. And Rodney Fowler is running 5th. We're watching the fight for the lead. 31W, that is Jimmy White. He's being chased by Marty Hart, and Hart's doing everything he can to get past on what, for these four-wheelers, is a very narrow circuit.
That bright yellow machine, that is the Suzuki of Jimmy White, and the machine just behind him, that's one of the Hondas we've talked so much about. And look at that Honda fly. I'll tell you, Marty Hart is a strong guy. He just muscles his way by and takes the lead. Possibly Jimmy White having a shifting problem or something there, Paul. It looked like he hesitated. But look at him fly now, literally fly.
Jimmy White back rolling again, but that little hesitation gave it away to Marty Hart, who is now the leader.
And Marty has already seen that white flag signifying one more lap. That had to be a nice sight for him, especially when it feels like your arms are going to fall out of the socket. You know, you go to any kind of racing to explore the pits, and there's always a drastic comparison between the factory sponsor to the corporate sponsored racer. I don't care if it's motorcycle or car, and kind of the have-nots, the guys that are working hard, trying to get the big deals. And it's no different here.
You know, Steve, back here in the pit area at Carlsbad is a reflection of what we see out on the circuit. On one hand, we have the big teams, big money support, factory teams, box vans with plenty of equipment, plenty of spares, plenty of parts to get the job done. On board, you'll have 110-volt electricity, plenty of storage, all the tools you need, literally a mini machine shop. And then, just like on the track, there is the dedicated privateer. His transport vehicle is half-inch plywood, some angle iron, a van to sleep in, but the dedication is just as strong and just as certain.
I could not agree more. And so often you see that underdog get in the winner's circle. Here is Marty Hart going for the win on his Honda ATV-4. Honda's winning both of the motos. Donnie Banks the first one, and now Marty Hart. There it is. The checkered flag is out for Marty Hart. But still, there's a race for second place. 31W Jimmy White and 11F Sean Finley. It is going to be Jimmy White picking up second. Finley hangs on for third.
So Marty Hart takes the victory in this, the second moto, followed by White, Finley, Banks, and Fowler. And the scoring as a result of 2 motos now shows Jimmy White as the winner overall, edging out Donnie Banks by just a single point. Steve is now with Jimmy White.
Well, the quick new Hondas threw everything they had at Jimmy White winning both motos, but it was your consistency that won it for you today. 2 strong seconds, #1 overall.
Yeah, I felt good out there. I haven't really ridden this four-wheeler that much on the rough track yet, and it really works well. I've been racing three-wheelers for the last 4 or 5 years.
National champion, as I recall.
Many times, yes.
What's the difference in riding? What did you have to learn to do different?
Not sit on the side as much, not slide it as much, ride it more like a motorcycle, basically.
You told me earlier after the first moto that the pressure really was on them to try to repeat in first. You knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, I've raced motocross quite a bit, and I knew a second place was as good as the first place. And after the first couple laps, I started slowing down a little bit because I seen that Donnie Banks was a ways back, and I didn't want to get tangled up with Marty.
Looked to me like you might have missed a shift going under the bridge.
I killed it.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, I felt like a rookie.
Okay, thanks very much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Jimmy White, he won it all in the four-wheelers. Now let's go to Paul Page with the winner of the second moto.
So El Cajon's Marty Hart wins that second moto. You were 8th in the first moto. What changes?
Starts. You got to get a good start here because the track's really narrow. It's more for bikes, and start plays a big part.
It was a whale of a fight there for a while.
Oh, yeah, we had a great battle. It was a lot of fun. I like battling with him. He's really controllable, and you can really go tire to tire the whole race and don't worry about him bailing or anything. He's really pretty smooth. But I just had a good time and had fun.
Suddenly, though, it seemed like you dropped back.
Pardon?
You dropped back suddenly, though.
On him?
Right.
Well, I just, played him as I had to win, basically. I mean, I knew sooner or later he was going to make a mistake if I just kept pushing him tire to tire the whole race. He had to make a mistake because he couldn't handle the pressure, I don't think.
Well, the Honda's looking good. Congratulations, Marty.
Thank you.
Take care.
So the Dodge Truck CMC Golden State Nationals is history. Our thanks to CMC President Stu Peters and all the competitors today. For Paul Page, I'm Steve Evans. So long from Carlsbad.
The executive producer for American Sports Cavalcade is Harvey M. Palish. Produced and directed by John D. Mullen. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by...